Welcome to Winnipeg's Real Estate Podcast, episode 151 for February 25th, 2021. Today we're going to have a phone call with Mortgage Mike about options for divorcing couples and how to keep one of them in the house if they want to. And we're going to have a phone call with Vancouver agent Tam Barclay about how crazy their market is. Very interesting stuff today on Winnipeg's Real Estate Podcast coming up.
You're listening to the Bo Knows Real Estate Podcast. Tips and advice for home buyers, sellers, and owners with award-winning RE/MAX agent, Kaufman.
Hello, everybody. It's Bo Kaufman, RE/MAX Performance Realty, residential real estate specialist. And let's get right into it today. People sell houses for a variety of reasons. Most of the reasons are happy ones most of the times. Your family is growing, you want to buy a bigger house, you get a promotion, you can afford a bigger house, that kind of thing. Or the other way, you're downsizing, your kids have moved out and you're ready to give up house ownership and maybe move into a condo. But sometimes the reasons aren't happy ones, such as in the case of a divorce. And quite often, couples end up selling the house and each having to go out and buy another house. But there are other options. As I was just talking to my buddy Mortgage Mike a couple of days ago, and he was mentioning that there's actually programs out there that help one of the parties keep the house and buy the other party out. So let's give him a call and see what that's all about.
Good afternoon.
Hey, Mike, it's Bo Kaufman calling. How are you?
Hey, doing well. How about yourself?
Good. I was just telling the listeners that there are options for people that are going through a divorce on how to deal with the house, the communal house, options other than having to sell it. And because you put the bug in my ear. So what can you tell me about that?
Sure. So one thing couples often tell me when they're going through a divorce is that they don't want to sell the house because that's the home their children are living in. That's near where their schools are. They don't want it to disrupt their lives, but they don't think they can keep the house. They actually can. And in fact, there's a special program in place that allows them to do that.
Okay. Walk us through the steps. What's the first thing they have to do?
Sure. So you have to have a separation agreement in place already. Who's actually going to be living in the house? Who is buying out who? You also have to spell out who owes what part of what marital debt, right? So if you have a balance on a credit card, who's paying out child support, spousal support, all that has to be sorted out with a lawyer in advance, okay? But the key advantage is that usually when you refinance a house, you can only pull out 80% of the home value in equity. So if you have a $300,000 home, you can only pull out 80% of that, meaning you're leaving equity in there. If you need that money to pay off the spouse, you can't access it.
Right.
With this program, you can actually access 95% of the equity in your home. So it allows one partner to stay in the marital home, maintain the stability in their lives, pay out the other partner who can now go shopping for a new house. And it makes the least bad option of a potentially bad situation.
Right. That's awesome news. So the person that's staying in the house still has to qualify for the mortgage. Are they still standard checks or are they relaxed a little bit?
So it is the standard policies as before in terms of income, credit, and down payment. And that is one of the key reasons why you have to have a separation agreement spelled out with your lawyer in advance. Is there child support? Is there spousal support? And so talking to a mortgage broker while you're talking to a lawyer can be a good idea to make sure the numbers are set so you can actually qualify for mortgage afterwards. So we can actually offer consulting to you for what numbers you have to get for child or spousal support to qualify for mortgage afterwards.
Well, that's interesting. So you're part of the process then for sure when people unfortunately have to go through a divorce. And we know that 50% of marriages end in divorce, unfortunately. But you can be part of the solution at that point.
Exactly. So think of me as an independent consultant that can show you the numbers you need so both parties leave making the best of a bad situation. That's what we're here for as mortgage brokers. And then you get to stay in the home. And that's what's important to a lot of people.
All right, we're going to cut it off here, but you told me that there's more to this topic that maybe we're going to talk about next week. You want to kind of set that up right now?
Sure. So we also may have options to pay out some other marital debt, and we can do a few more things with it as well. So these are conversations we have for next time.
All right, excellent. I'll give you a shout next week. Thanks, Mike.
Sounds good. Have a nice day.
You too. Bye-bye. So what we learned here is that there are options if you are getting a divorce. There are options for one of you perhaps to stay in the house, make it a little easier on the children. so they don't have to find two new places. And consider making a mortgage broker or a mortgage specialist part of your team when you're getting a divorce. Hopefully it's amicable, because that will save you a lot of money in the end. In fact, I wrote an article about how you can save money by keeping things amicable as much as possible. And that article is available on my blog. Just go to bowknows.homes/divorce. Up next, we're going to phone Tam Barclay, an agent at the North Shore in Vancouver, and see what their market's all about. So a couple of days ago, an agent out of Vancouver reached out to me to be on the podcast, and her name is Tam Barclay. And as you're going to hear from the accent, she is a Londoner who moved to Canada about 10 years ago, and she was actually an agent in London, England. So I want to take this opportunity to find out what the differences are, because I have heard that there's quite a difference between real estate in England, or even in Europe in general, but especially in England, when compared to how we do things here. So I wanted to take that opportunity to talk to her and at the same time talk about the Vancouver market. I think you're going to find this very interesting. Here we go. So let me ask you this. You have a unique insight into this. You were an agent in London, and now you've been here for 10 years. What are the biggest differences between I'm not talking about a letting agent, but a selling or a listing or a buyer's agent? What's the big differences in real estate between there and here?
Well, what happens is that with the letting agent is that you when you want to sell a property, you take it to a brokerage, and that brokerage sells it and acts for the buyer and seller. So you don't have a person that works for you on both sides. And what is very frustrating in the UK, because I've sold my property, and what I found difficult was that there was no commitment from a buyer. So you agree a price, and people can gazump you because they tell each other the price. You don't go in and bid. I can go in today and say, right, I want to pay 858. And somebody will say, right, I'm going to pay 868. And we all know what each other are offering. So
it's almost like an auction, whatever. Yeah.
But when you agree a price with a buyer, you then say to them, you need to take it off the market. We've got an accepted offer, but the contracts will take a good couple of months to do it. And there's no deposit. So they could remove your property. You agree to do this, and 3 months later, they can pull out and you've got nothing to go on.
Why is there no deposit?
Because they don't do deposits like that as a commitment. So you can pull out a day before you're about to complete.
Oh my God.
Yes, it's really stressful.
That seems really backwards. And
it's very stressful.
No kidding. And did you say that you're let's say you're the home seller and you call this brokerage and they're selling it for you, they act for both the buyer and the seller?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So do you even have buyer's agents out there?
No, there's no buyer's agent at all. So, and your listing is with that brokerage, so only they can sort of sell it. Really, you won't see it another.
There's no cooperation. There's no MLS.
It's very different in the way that they do it, and I couldn't believe how quickly you could buy property here. I was very shocked. I remember doing a deal with a chap, and I was bidding on something, and
this is in Vancouver.
Okay. And I had only met this chap on Monday, and we went out on Tuesday. We found something, and offers were on Wednesday.
Right.
And so he was a cash buyer, and I knew I wasn't going to be the highest price, but I wanted to be the fastest. I knew he wanted keys like ASAP. So I rang the notary and I said, look, how fast can I do a deal? And she said, if it's a cash buy, you can actually close on Friday and pick up the keys on Saturday. I nearly fell off my chair. And so I said, okay. So I wrote the offer. There was about 6 offers, and the realtor called me and said, you're not the highest, but we're going to go with you because you're fastest.
Right.
And we got an accepted offer on Wednesday. We closed on Friday, and I gave him the keys on Saturday. And it took me nearly 3-4 months to buy my property in the UK.
Right.
And yet here I did it in 3 days.
Wow. What do you like better?
I'm very quick on my feet. So I much prefer the speed. Much prefer the speed.
Oh, yeah. No kidding. Yeah, that's probably the fastest I've ever heard. So usually that doesn't, because, it helps that your buyer was a cash buyer. You didn't have to wait for bank mortgages to come through and all that kind of stuff. So
no.
That's awesome.
I need a client today. So
okay. So you said you have 2 offices, like you're working for a brokerage that has 2 offices, North Shore and downtown?
Yes. So they have one in East Vancouver, just on Main Street, just on the outside of the downtown.
Okay.
And they've just opened a new office in the North Shore in Lynn Valley Mall. It's called. Okay.
So pretend because it's a real thing. Pretend I don't know anything about Vancouver. I've never been there. What's the North Shore? What's the market there like? Is it luxury homes or is it?
It is luxury. It is definitely a premium market in the North Shore. And it's just got such a lovely lifestyle and environment, very safe, very children friendly, beautiful trails. You can ski. There's got 3 ski hills.
Nice.
So it's a huge draw to people. And what's funny is if a lot of, I've noticed a lot of children that grew up on the North Shore tend to move away and then come back and buy on the North Shore.
Yeah.
It's always been a premium market, and the houses, I mean, I have a story for you, happened about 2 weeks ago.
Sure. Yeah. I'd love to hear it.
In my neighborhood. So I'm in a neighborhood called Cavahall, and actually one of my clients did a pre-inspection. The listing came on. It was an old house. We're talking needed work. The pre-inspection said,
what do you consider? This is always interesting to me. What do you consider old?
It was this one was a 1922 house.
Okay, I agree. Old. Yeah, we have those too. Sure.
It had needed probably about 100 grand's worth on the outside, and the whole place needed gutting in. So you're looking at about 250 here to do a whole gut on a house. And my husband's a builder, so I kind of approximate prices.
Right.
And they listed at 1.4, and really old houses, maybe 1950s, old houses.
You're talking 1.4 million.
Yes, and it worked.
Okay.
And they had 10 pre-inspections, 31 offers.
OMG. Okay.
The builder must have had a lot of homework to do.
Yes.
And it went for 1.8.
Wow.
And really, you can buy a 1.8 house. At least it's a little bit more renovated and put together. I mean, they need to spend a good load of money to bring it up to par. I was shocked myself.
Was it the location that sold it, or just the character of it, or?
It was a nice lot. So it was a flat lot with a view, close to a school.
There you go.
So it was a nice lot.
Location. What's an average home in that North Shore area? Do you happen to know what the average sale is?
I think we're about 1.585 is a sort of average price point for a home here.
What about your other location, more towards central downtown?
A lot of condos there. So you're just looking at the detached. You're looking at a similar price point, really, 1.6, 1.5 to 1.6, really in the downtown.
What about condos?
885 or something like that.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. We don't have numbers like that at all. So you had 31 offers for that house in North Shore.
There's a real lack of properties. That's the problem. There's not enough stock coming on. And because there's not enough stock, people don't want to move, so that people aren't listing. No, I know. We're seeing exactly the same thing. So last year, this time, for Winnipeg numbers, our average at this time of year, mid-February, is about 1,100 houses on the market in Winnipeg. Okay, not the surrounding areas, in Winnipeg, 1,100 detached houses. This week we have 500. Oh Lord!
So it's less than half. And like you say, I've got 3 or 4 buyers that need to find something before they put theirs on the market. So it's kind of somebody has to take the first step. And I think once this cold smell drops, it'll start coming. We've had last year, it was really bizarre near the end of the year. People bidding on everything that came up. If it was straight and level, even if it needed a ton of work, it was getting multiple offers. I think that's the year we're going to have again this year.
Yeah, it's hard. I'm working with a lot of buyers, and I can act very quickly, but obviously when you're competing with so many people, and it's difficult because they're looking at a price point, but if it exceeds so much on that price point, you're already, pushing a lot of the limits with your clients to try and get them into that price point that they really want in the area they want. So if they're now bidding 150 to 180 over asking in some of the detached homes that are going, then now having to look at something like at 1.2 when they're looking at 1.4. Right.
Yeah, exactly. No, preaching to the choir, just lower numbers here, but it's the same process. Yeah. Well, I certainly hope you've enjoyed this information. I really like making phone calls to other agents in other cities, especially in this case where Tam had information on what business was like in London, England. So I found it interesting. I hope you did too. Come back next episode 152, where we're going to continue our discussion with Mike Schroeder about different avenues and different things that divorcing couples can do to save money. Until next time, this has been Bo Kaufman, Remax Performance Realty. If you're looking to buy or sell a house or a condo in Winnipeg, give me a shout at 204-333-2202. Till next time, bye-bye.
Are you thinking of selling your Winnipeg house or condo? Work with the listing agent who goes beyond the MLS. Bo Kaufman of Remax Performance has a marketing plan that is second to none. Book your free marketing plan and evaluation today. Bo knows real estate.
You've been listening to Bo Kaufman of Remax Performance Realty. Are you thinking of buying or selling a house or a condo in Winnipeg? Call Bo at 204-333-2202. Remember, Bo knows real estate.